town. Truth was, I was a shy and reserved individual who didn't have a lot of goals for herself. I figured I would go to beauty school. I would have stung. Instead of college, stay in town, and that's all she wrote. When we got to Illinois, I remained uninvolved in school and desperately missed home. Far removed from my Colorado friends, I didn't want anything from Quincy High except the diploma. That meant I could return to my mountains. I wasn't quite miserable being homesick for Colorado, but headed there first. There were many events that turned my apathy to activity, but as I began to realize that Quincy was a clean opportunity to be whatever the heck I wanted to be, your Friday story sometimes kept running through my mind. I strove for excellence in everything I did as I finished high school. I graduated in '93, having been swim team captain, an active member of the thespian club, concert choir, show choir, and madrigal choir. It was rare for a newcomer to be a part of the show and madrigal choirs because of politics. You have to pay your dues first, but politics are among the obstacles we see when we take our eyes off the goal. That is something I never did. I will graduate in May with a music degree from the University of Illinois with a very impressive resume thanks to God's rich blessing and providence. However, the reason I tell you this is that my degree is in music education. Because of the impact you have had on me as a student, I want to touch lives as you have touched mine. I realized during my student teaching that this is an exhausting job with little thanks. Teachers put so much into each day and never know if they make a difference because students don't realize so until later in life, if ever. You invest in your students, Mr. Conrad, and I pray those investments return to you 10,000-fold. I've seen the shop featured in a woodworking magazine, and I'm not surprised that the program has grown in such a wonderful way. I'm so thankful to have that shop as a part of my background. You taught us so much more than woodworking by taking precious time to contribute to our character. Don't ever stop. Thank you, Mr. Conrad, your former student, Bethany and McMillan. I'd like to believe that every Friday, somewhere in Illinois, just before the music kids take out their instruments and get ready to sing, their teacher, Beth McMillan, shares a story of hope and inspiration. I'd also like to believe that some little kid in that class is listening to those stories, some little kid who doesn't even realize that someday he or she will become a teacher who will share stories of hope and inspiration with their students, all because of the effect Beth McMillan had on them when they were kids. That's unstoppable. That's a tradition of excellence. Pause for a moment and let you fill in your journals what you find excellent about this story. Sometimes in life when we especially have to move, this can be very difficult for us, can't it? And we kind of have to figure out whole new rhythms and how we're going to survive, how we're going to make it. The next section is called Kayak to Commander. Let's take a look at this one. Chris Johns loved the water ever since he was a little kid. In high school, he loved woodshop. His senior year, he won Best of Show when he combined his two loves and built a kayak. Chris launched his kayak in the high school swimming pool. It was his maiden voyage, but not his last. This was the same pool he swam in while on the swim team. Did I mention Chris loved the water? Is it any wonder that Chris went to the Coast Guard Academy after high school? After graduating from the Coast Guard, he became LTJG Chris Johns, commanding officer of the U.S. Coast Guard, Halibut in Marina del Rey, California. Chris returned to the wood shop and was a live Friday story. He told the kids about harrowing rescues at sea. Stories of 30-foot swells and stormy seas at night had my class riveted to his every word. Chris said, "The Friday stories left me with goosebumps as I considered the goals I had set for my life. It made me set priorities. I was no longer just thinking about what I was going to do for the weekend, but what I was going to do with my life. The Friday stories taught me not to be afraid to reach for the impossible." The key, obviously, is no fear. Chris and I had a great laugh when we finished his live Friday story. That's when I asked him, "Do you remember the day we conned your mom into buying us lunch?" Chris's mom was a counselor at high school. She had just given him over $100 for his senior year to buy special marine paint for his kayak. Chris was really nervous that he might mess up and have to buy more paint, so I helped Chris, and he did an excellent job. To show his appreciation, he offered to take me to lunch. I graciously accepted. That's when he told me, "I don't have any money." Figuring his mom wouldn't give him any more after buying the paint, we devised a plan. Chris would tell his mom he spilled the paint and he needed to buy more. When she'd get her checkbook out, he would tell her he was just kidding, he only needed $15. His mother, sensing relief at not having to buy more paint at $100 a gallon, would easily fork over $15 for lunch. The plan worked to perfection. I'll never forget the look on his mom's face when Chris told her he had spilled the paint, nor will I forget how she laughed and yelled at both of us after we got the lunch money and confessed our con job. That was excellent. Okay, let's pause for a moment. You can write this one down. The decision, of course, for many students, join the military and serve their country is, of course, one of the lofty decisions, right? Especially of sacrifice that's involved. A number of Mr. Conrad's students, like, of course, many of our Worland students, have made that amazing decision. The next section, the warrior. Almost every day I would ask Henry Billett the same question. What do you do? What did you do to win the state championship last night? Many of Henry's classmates were confused. They knew Henry was a wrestler, but the season didn't start for another 3.5 months. So why was I asking Henry that question? Because Henry was a warrior. Every day he'd answer that question with something he had done the night before to better his odds at wrestling. The question I'd ask repeatedly was so much for Henry as it was for all his classmates. It was to show them all that to be a champion, one had to be a warrior each and every day. Notice it. To be a champion, you have to be a warrior each and every day. Henry was more than just a warrior in spirit. He enjoyed searching for arrowheads and relics from warriors of long ago. Henry had an impressive collection. He designed and constructed a wood and glass display table in the shape of an arrowhead in my woods class. Henry the warrior took best of show honors with it. After bugging him all year with questions, Henry the warrior qualified for the state wrestling championship. He would do battle with his arch nemesis, who Henry had never beaten in all their previous wars. But a true warrior doesn't worry about the past or the battles lost. The warrior had been training every day for this. I took my wife Vicky and my son Colton to see the much anticipated battle. I drove over 500 miles, arriving just in time to see Henry and his arch nemesis walk out onto the mat. What a war it was! With 4 seconds left in the match and the score tied 2-2, they went out of bounds. Henry would be on the bottom and his opponent on top when the match resumed. I was screaming to Henry as loud as I could, watching the last 4 seconds tick off the time clock. As the clock ran out, the warrior did not. Henry scored a 2-point reversal. The warrior did it. He was the best 112-pound wrestler in the state. After graduating from high school, Henry started his own business while at college. The business combined extreme sports promotion with Henry's very own clothing line. The name of his business, Warrior Racing and Warrior Competition Apparel. Were you expecting something different? Once a warrior, always a warrior. That's excellence. Okay, go ahead and jot down what you like about this one. The idea of training every day to get ready to do what you do. That's an amazing thing. Also notice he went to college and he started his own business while he was at college, right? Compelling. Okay, let's go to the next one. Kippy the Kid. Kip Haffey was in my mass production class the year they set a record selling 310 video cases. Kip was also the starting quarterback for our football team. I like Kip, he liked me. One night, he and 2 of his friends got together to show their appreciation. They decided to toilet paper my yard. Just as the mischievous trio were finishing their paperwork, they spotted headlights coming around the corner. They were sure it was me. They quickly hopped in their car and tore off. The headlights kept getting closer, so they went faster. Still, the headlights got closer. Go, go, Kip kept yelling to his friend driving the getaway car. So his friend went even faster. They went through not just 1 or 2, but 6 stop signs. The headlights kept getting closer. Suddenly, flashing lights appeared. Hey, since when does Mr. Conrad drive a police car? The driver asked Kip. He doesn't. It's the cops. Pull over, Kip yelled. Oh, what a sight the 3 of them were standing at my doorstep with the police officer. Kip said, we did it because we like you. I tried to look mad and told them they would have to rake my entire yard the next day. They agreed. I closed the door and just started laughing. The next day my yard was cleared of all the leaves and toilet paper. Kip Haffey is now the science teacher and head football coach at the same high school where I taught him. My son Colton had him for outdoor science and football this year. Colton really liked Mr. Haffey. So watch out, Mr. Haffey. You know what happens next. After all, you started that tradition. Go ahead and pause for a moment. You can jot down what you find as an example of excellence. You'll notice some of these stories are serious, some of these stories are lighthearted. They all share in common, though, that students were successful, right? Let's go to Darwood. Darren Cooter never won Best of Show honors. He took the class like many others because of the Friday stories. I nicknamed him Darwood. The Friday after the Columbine High School tragedy, I challenged all my students, quote, "What would you do to stop a similar tragedy from happening at our school?" End quote. Over 100 kids heard that challenge, but Darwood was the only one to take the initiative. He asked for permission to read his thought-provoking statement over the intercom to the entire school that Friday. This is a compelling statement, but I want to just point out the courage that it would take for any one of you to write a statement that you would then ask our principal to read to the whole school on the intercom the next day. I mean, some of you will have to admit, that alone would take tremendous courage, but then something that you write? Let's take a look at what he said. "I would like to say some things about the recent events that have occurred last week, the Columbine shooting, the tragedy. One reason I have to say something is that a question was posed to me. The question was, if you knew that a person was planning such a horrible event, how would you stop it? And as I thought through answers like call the police, tell a teacher, talk to a parent, I heard Mr. Conrad say that no matter what we answered, he was going to keep asking us what we would do to stop this from happening, to see how long we were willing to fight to keep this from happening. This question really made me think about what we can do to stop stuff like this. Please answer the following questions in your own mind if you do or plan to do any of the following. 1. Do you enjoy having a day off of school to do whatever you choose to do that day? 2. Do you enjoy the company of your friends in and out of school? 3. Do you have goals for the future? Do you have things you want to do in life? I hope you have answered yes, because if you did, we all have some common ground with each other. This means no matter how diverse each of our lives are, we all have some common interests. I also believe that we all have a love for life in common. So what will you do to stop this? Then what will you do? Maybe tell a cop, teachers, and parents. Then what will you do? Be more open to people's views and concerns on life. Then what will you do? Maybe try being an example of tolerance. We all have common goals and interests. Let's live life and accomplish these goals. Let's try and extend a hand to those who don't have the friends and support that many of us do. Let's better ourselves and others through following the paths in life we want to excel in and be happy in. And let's make a stand to do the best we can to keep this from happening in our school, our friends' schools, and our relatives' schools. You might be the one who makes the difference that saves lives. What will you do? The letter ends, the statement ends. Darren is married with kids of his own now. He keeps the tradition of excellence alive by sharing many of the lessons he learned through the Friday stories. Hopefully, this is paving the way for a safer environment in the future for his kids. That's excellent. Let's pause for a moment and let you jot down that one. A lot of courage to write a statement like that, even more courage to read it, obviously. Notice, to be an example of tolerance, to be more open to people's views and concerns on life, to not ridicule people simply because they look different or act different or think differently than you. What a compelling suggestion. Our next section, unstoppable shops. The year after I was hired back after being riffed, I faced a crisis. I either turn the Woods program around or have it shut down, just like hundreds of others all over the country. I was given 1 year to perform this magic. Instead of pulling a rabbit out of my hat, I hired the kids to do the magic. Each year in my Woods 2 class, we'd pick a project to mass produce. After making one project for each student in the class, they were given an opportunity to sell as many as they could in 5 days. They would take their sample project door to door, earning a paycheck for each order they took, plus a profit for the shop as well. This unstoppable shop concept saved my program and hundreds of others around the country. Thanks in part to all of the magazine and media coverage, many other shop teachers started doing the same thing in their own wood shops. I also held several 3-day workshops for teachers from all over the United States. My teachers brought in tons of money through the years. My students brought in tons of money through the years, so we were able to purchase any new tools or machines we wanted. I never had to beg the school district for money because we were totally self-sufficient. Best of all is what it did for the kids. It helped them to raise the bar so they could be part of the $1,000 club. The next section is the $1,000 club. Let's keep reading. Every woodworking student wanted to be a member of the exclusive $1,000 club, but only a select few ever made it. It goes without saying that hard work was a prerequisite to gaining membership. Students earned $15 for each product sold. So to earn a paycheck of $1,000 or more, students had to sell at least 67 products. Believe me, that's not an easy task for a shy, self-conscious teenager. This group never took the easy way. They did it the old-fashioned way with hard work. This exclusive club consisted of Colton Conrad, Chelsea Herod, Christian McAlexander, Jared Reeves, Nate Browning, John Bauer, Madison Arberg, Guy Fortney, Tanya Letamendi, and Amanda Kramer. Amanda Kramer holds the all-time sales record. She sold 88 chairs and earned $1,320. She took $600 and treated her mom to a spa day in the exclusive Broadmoor Hotel in Colorado Springs. When I asked, "Where's my spa day?" Amanda giggled. The next day, she gave me a gift bag filled with a nail file, lotions, and soap. "Have a great spa day," she said while laughing her head off the whole time. Kids. Pause for a moment. You can jot this one down. Again, the idea of trying to be innovative and to solve a problem that is a financial problem in a creative way. One more way to think about this unstoppable velocity. Donut Derby. Once all of the mass production projects are completely assembled and constructed, they need to be sanded. In a typical year, that's anywhere between 350 to 500 projects. This is an enormous task. I enlist all my students to help out with donuts as the bribe. The class that sands the most projects wins 100 donuts. I usually tell the classes several days before, just to build excitement. On the day of the contest, I'm yelling, "When the donut derby comes to town, everybody be jumping around." The kids are usually all fired up. Then I tell them, the class that wins gets 100 donuts plus the chance to compete in the donut derby. "What's that?" each class asks. "You get to pick 2 classmates who can eat 20 donuts together. If they do it, I'll buy the class pizza." Now the classes are ecstatic. They literally run out into the shop and sand for days. It's actually kind of hilarious to watch kids busting their hump for a box of donuts. The year Aaron Sanchez's class won, his 2 classmates couldn't finish the 20 donuts. It's no wonder. These were special donuts. They were very large cinnamon rolls that I drilled holes in the center using the drill press. Everyone was laughing. Aaron ate about 10 regular donuts while he watched his 2 classmates fail to complete the donut derby. There were still 8 of the special donuts left. Aaron wanted to win pizza for his class the next week. "Mr. Conrad, if I finish eating those donuts, will you still buy us pizza next week?" Aaron asked. This was a complete violation of donut derby rules, but that didn't really matter. I knew he couldn't eat them, especially after already eating 10. "Oh, go ahead," I said as the class erupted in cheers for Aaron. What happened next was unexplainable and unbelievable. Aaron methodically proceeded to consume the special donuts almost as if he had a hollow leg. Just as time ran out, he stuffed the last one down. "Time's up," I screamed. "Open up." Aaron dramatically opened his jaws, showing everyone he did it. The class went crazy. Aaron fell to the floor, totally stuffed. The next class period, I went to visit Aaron. I wanted to see how he was doing and play a joke on him. I picked a bunch of half-eaten donuts out of the trash can. I arranged them neatly in the same box Aaron had just eaten out of. When I got to Aaron's class, he was lying in the hallway, still stuffed from the donut derby. "Here, Aaron, I brought you some donuts," I said. It was more than he could bear. Aaron quickly ran to the bathroom. I later was told several of his classmates found the box of half-eaten donuts I had left behind. "Hey, look, donuts," they said. They ate them all. Aaron Sanchez not only led his class to victory in the donut derby, he also led his high school football team to victory as the starting quarterback. Although many people told him he would be too small to play college football, he made them eat those words just like he did those donuts. Aaron is currently playing Division I football for the CSU Rams. With 1 year of eligibility left, I'm anxious to see how he chews up the competition next season. That's excellent. Pause for a moment and let you go ahead and jot down a line there in your journals on this one. The last one, Santa's Woodshop. Every year, starting in November, my advanced woods classes put their projects aside to build wooden toys for the children in our community. Then, just before Christmas break, we transformed the woodshop into the North Pole. My students dress up as elves, and we invite the whole town for the festivities. Santa and Mrs. Claus are present. The choir sings Christmas carols, the elves work on their toys, and we even let the little kids break open some piñatas filled with treats. We call these perky 3 to 5-year-old kids up front to sit on Santa's lap, and that's when the elves present them with their wooden toys. My elves had made large wooden rocking horses, airplane scooters, and motorcycles. The whole thing is incredible. Many parents are teary-eyed as they watch a teenager give their child a toy. I have to admit, I got a little choked up the first time I witnessed it. I remember thinking how cool it would be if one day these little kids would grow up and eventually take woodshop. Then they could make a toy to give away. Well, in 2003 it happened. One of my students made a rocking horse just like the one he had received at Santa's woodshop when he was 6 years old. Santa's woodshop has gone full circle. None of this would have been possible without the help of Samuelson's hardware. Mark Samuelson has donated hundreds of dollars worth of materials each year, enabling us to build all of those toys. Some former elves now work for Mark. Thanks, Mark, for helping perpetuate our tradition of excellence. I obviously feel a great sense of pride and accomplishment over this tradition of excellence. I'm very proud of all my students. It's very rewarding to know I played a small role in their success. It's funny, really, to think that this tradition of excellence all started the day I refused to be average. And then finally, the Unstoppable You challenges you to create your own tradition of excellence. Let's just end really quickly in your journals by a couple of observations. Again, you're asking the journals to, what is your takeaway from each of these stories, and how does each story reflect a commitment to excellence? And again, your journals here help you on page 113. The second one, though, is a personal question. What will be your tradition of excellence? Think about this question. What's one accomplishment that you can still strive to achieve before graduation day? As high school seniors. It seems to me this is a legitimate question to ask yourself. What's